We begin with United Nations experts who on Tuesday stated in a report saying that oil companies are pledging to get their emissions down to net zero better make sure that they got a credible plan and are not just making false promises, urging through standards on emissions cutting vows. Released at the UN's flagship climate conference, COP27, in the Egyptian seaside resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, the group of experts set out a number of strict recommendations for businesses, banks, and local governments, making net zero pledges to ensure that their promises amount to meaningful actions instead of bogus assurances. They called it a roadmap to prevent net zero from being undermined by false claims, ambiguity, and greenwash. Business, environmental, and corporate watchdog groups generally support the proposals. The experts and environmental groups say there's been little transparency or uniform standards when it comes to net zero pledges, resulting in a boom in the number of hard-to-verify claims. Since the Paris Agreement 2015, setting a global target of limiting temperature increases to 1.5 Celsius degrees, there's been a groundswell of support for the concept of net zero, drastically cutting greenhouse gas emissions and canceling out the rest as the main way to meet that goal.
But the reality is that consumers actually, a lot of them, want to choose products that are good for the environment, that mean that the company is tackling climate action. So we need to know whether that's really...
Climate envoy from China, Xi Jinping, says his country wants to work with others to address global warming. However, he offered no significant new measures when it comes to Beijing's part. In remarks on Tuesday at the UN climate conference in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, Xi says he hoped the meeting would focus on the implementation of existing pledges, as he explains that this meant developed countries will take the lead in effectively scaling up their emission reduction targets and achieving carbon neutrality significantly ahead of time. She also added that it was up to developed countries to achieve substantive results on measures for adapting to climate change and financial aid for the poor that were of greatest concern to developing countries.
中方希望 COP27 聚焦落实，发达国家应该率先切实提高减排的力度，并大幅。
While the countries in the world still spread sugar-coating promises when it comes to comprehensive climate control, Indonesia has been one step further by taking real actions and even have harvested positive achievements. International community acknowledges that Indonesia has proven its successful efforts in reducing deforestation. Thanks to Indonesia's real actions to stop 25% of forest loss from 2020 to 2021, according to Washington Post, that recognizes Indonesia as the country with the most successful country on reducing deforestation significantly. Responding to that, Indonesian Vice President Ma'ruf Amin, who is attending the UN climate conference COP27, reveals that the country's achievements were the result of Indonesia's real efforts and commitments on its climate pledges. Vice President Ma'ruf on Tuesday was visiting Indonesian pavilion at COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, accompanied by Indonesian Environment and Forestry Minister Siti Nurbaya Bakar. Both of them encourage other countries to implement their pledges rather than only expose their ambition targets.
Itu karena usaha-usaha kita ya. Jadi layak kalau Indonesia memperoleh pujian. Sebanyak yang hanya menyampaikan komitmen saja, tapi langkah-langkahnya tidak jelas. Ya. Tapi Indonesia kan sudah jelas beberapa langkah yang kita lakukan. Ada mobil listrik, ada ini, ada kehutanan, ada berbagai hal yang